shouting again. Move those two vehicles farther away. Extend the hoses as much as possible. Seeing Lin Hui's reluctance to depart, his tone grew colder. You have not undergone professional fire training. Your presence would only complicate matters. I appreciate your goodwill, but I must be accountable for your safety. If I permit you to proceed without orders, and something goes awry, the responsibility will fall on me. Lin Hui responded earnestly. Our only obligation is to the safety of the civilians. Everything else is inconsequential. The scale of this blaze is vast, and relying solely on your personnel is insufficient. Commander, when will reinforcements arrive? Hong Chong was momentarily at a loss for words. The fire engines and water trucks that could be mobilized from surrounding cities had already been dispatched. To summon additional manpower would require at least half a day's time. As time progresses, the flames will only become increasingly difficult to control. Noticing the other party's silence, Lin Hui seized him by the arm. The fire is raging fiercely. If we do not act swiftly, it will be too late. We have several hundred capable individuals here, and we can undoubtedly be of assistance. Hong Chong glanced at the hundreds of people nearby, hesitating for a moment before ultimately nodding. Very well, I will allow you to assist, but you must obey my command. Lin Hui, filled with excitement, replied, No problem. You are the professionals in firefighting. Where shall we begin? Hong Chong, with a serious demeanor, stated, Our primary objective is to prevent the fire from spreading towards the city. There are power plants and several factories in the vicinity. If the flames reach here, the economic losses would be catastrophic. The mountain roads are steep, and our foam guns cannot reach those areas. So we can only provide you with a limited number of water hoses, a few sets of heat-resistant suits, and fire extinguishers. Lin Hui nodded emphatically. Understood. That's sufficient. Excellent. Without further ado, Hong Chong acted promptly. Time is of the essence in firefighting, akin to a life-saving mission. He immediately dispatched personnel to deliver fire extinguishers and protective gear to Lin Hui and his team. However, due to the limited number of heat-resistant suits, it was impossible to equip all the hundreds of individuals at once. Lin Hui quickly gathered everyone and divided them into several teams. Declaring loudly, I will divide you into 3 groups. We shall advance in batches up the mountain. The first group will don protective equipment and use water hoses to lower the flame's temperature, thereby reducing the fire's intensity. The second group will follow closely behind to extinguish the fire source with fire extinguishers. The third group will support the first 2 groups and swiftly create a firebreak. Moreover, if anyone from the latter 2 groups becomes fatigued and collapses, they must immediately be rescued while ensuring their own safety. Is that clear? Yes. The entire assembly responded in unison. Hong Chong watched from the side, nodding in approval. Indeed, as expected from the military, commands are executed with such decisiveness. At that moment, someone suddenly shouted, Captain, the supplies have arrived. Hong Chong dashed towards a supply vehicle. Opening the cargo door, he found it brimming with fire extinguishers. He handed a large portion to Lin Hui. I entrust this to you. You must control the fire to the south, or the civilians will suffer. Rest assured, we will accomplish the task. Lin Hui ordered the remaining personnel to stay behind and manage transportation. Given the magnitude of the fire, the supplies on the mountain would soon be depleted. It was imperative to ensure that once a fire extinguisher was used, a replacement was immediately available. Otherwise, it would not be them extinguishing the fire, but rather the fire extinguishing them. Zhou Zhongyi donned a heat-resistant suit, eager to join the fray. Lin Hui halted him. Commander, you need not go up. Leave the firefighting to us. At your age, it would be unwise to risk heat exhaustion and require us to carry you down. Zhou Zhongyi's lips twitched. He wished to retort, but found himself unable. At his age, ascending the mountain could indeed prove perilous. Well, I must contribute in some way. I cannot simply stand by and watch. Lin Hui smiled and reassured him. Do not worry. We will keep you occupied. Please assist in reporting the situation back to the headquarters. Clarify the situation to avoid any misunderstandings. Very well. Zhou Zhongyi nodded. There exists a regulation within the army that mandates reporting significant events. Failure to do so constitutes a grave violation of military discipline. Lu Qingsong had just finished his meal in the mess hall and returned to his office. Before he could settle into his chair, an officer hurriedly knocked and entered. Report. Commander, what is it? Lu Qingsong inquired. The officer promptly relayed the situation, leaving Lu Qingsong astonished. His eyes nearly bulging in disbelief. Isn't it better to serve as a model soldier and labor hero? How could they rush off to extinguish a fire? Who authorized this? A group of individuals without any understanding of the situation running off to fight a fire is tantamount to courting disaster. The officer asked, Sir, what should we do? Lu Qingsong bellowed in frustration. What do you mean? What should we do? Quickly contact them and bring them back. If something were to happen, who would bear the responsibility? This is not a matter to be trifled with. Without receiving orders, Lin Hui's actions constitute insubordination. If nothing occurs, that is one thing, but should a tragedy unfold, resulting in loss of life. I, as the commander, would also share the blame. Understood. The officer turned to leave, but was suddenly called back. Wait. He turned back and asked, Sir, do you have any further instructions? Lu Qingsong waved his hand, anxiously stating, forget it, at this point. It's likely too late to contact them. They are already on the mountain fighting the fire. Gather the troops. The officer, bewildered, asked, what do you want to gather the troops for? Lu Qingsong, exasperated, retorted, what else could we do but assist? The fire is near our station. They are already engaged. Shall we merely stand by and feign ignorance? Gather all the troops. We shall join in the effort to extinguish the fire. Yes, sir. Chapter 261. No retreat until the fire is extinguished. Lin Hui surveyed the scene, noting that everyone was properly equipped, standing in formation with fire-extinguishing tools in hand. Lin Hui nodded in satisfaction and solemnly declared, We've trained our soldiers for 1,000 days, but we utilized them in a moment. During this time, you may have felt I was pushing you relentlessly, day and night, but in truth, I was honing your physical capabilities and endurance. Look at your current condition. Are you not a world apart from what you were over a month ago? The group clenched their fists, indeed feeling invigorated. They had sensed the transformation within themselves. Although it had been arduous and exhausting, their muscles had grown more robust, and their physical fitness and stamina had surged dramatically. Tasks that once seemed insurmountable would have been impossible for them a month prior. However, now, they not only could complete them successfully, but also retain some energy. To put it simply, where once they could manage 2 or 3 tasks at most, now they could easily handle 4 or 5 without difficulty. Lin Hui shouted firmly, we are soldiers. The purpose of military training is to protect our nation and safeguard the property of our people. This battle is a silent struggle. The raging fire on the mountain is our adversary. As long as we are present, we will not allow any harm to come to the safety of the people's property. Even if it means shielding the flames with our bodies, we must halt the advance of the fire. Even if it requires dousing it with our blood, we must extinguish the blaze. He proclaimed solemnly, if sacrifices are made, I shall personally bear you back. The regiment, the division, will eternally remember you. And the people will too. Returning home will be a testament to your honor. A fervor ignited in everyone's eyes as they clenched their fists. Lin Hui then shifted his tone, coldly declaring, but who dares to fear for their lives, to flee? I shall be the first to show no mercy. In this battle, retreat is not an option. We must fight to the bitter end. Indeed, everyone roared in fervor. Fight to the bitter end. Zhou Zhongyi stood nearby, his blood boiling. This lad certainly knew how to inspire morale. Even I felt the urge to charge alongside them. Lin Hui gazed at him and said, Commander, you must remain here to oversee and direct operations. We cannot afford to be without your leadership. Rest assured, I will handle the rear. Zhou Zhongyi nodded. His role was equally vital. If Lin Hui advanced, he must ensure the stability of the base below, guaranteeing a continuous water supply in the temporary tank, ready to replenish the extinguishers once depleted. Lin Hui surveyed the crowd with unwavering determination. If I fall, the deputy commander shall take my place and continue leading the fight. If the deputy falls, the battalion commander will step up, and if the battalion commander falls, the deputy battalion commander will rise. In short, as long as the wildfire rages, we shall never retreat. Indeed, the fervor surged through everyone. At that moment, they cast aside all thoughts of life and death. Their sole focus on the 2 words, extinguish the fire. Until the flames are quelled, we shall not retreat, even in death. First group, charge with me. Charge. Lin Hui bellowed. The first group, dragging hoses and carrying the temporary tank, surged up the mountain behind him. The second group, each bearing 2 extinguishers, with 1 in each hand, swiftly followed. The third group, the largest, wielding shovels and carrying extinguishers, roared as they trailed behind. Nearby, Hong Chong was also swept up in the fervor, his hands trembling with excitement. He passionately told his subordinates, you take over my command. I will lead the charge. His subordinates cautioned, Captain, it's too dangerous for you to go. Dangerous, my foot. Hong Chong shouted furiously, did you see? The comrades of the People's Liberation Army have already ascended. This is our duty. If we falter, how can we hold our heads high? He pointed at his subordinates. You are in charge now. The rest follow me. Until the fire is extinguished, we shall not retreat, even in death. Indeed, a throng of young firefighters surged forward once more under his leadership. Meanwhile, a crowd of concerned onlookers had gathered at the foot of the mountain, their faces etched with worry. They feared for both the fire and the safety of the firefighters. Suddenly, a girl pointed towards the mountain. Look, it's the uncles from the People's Liberation Army. Everyone turned in the direction of her finger, their faces filled with astonishment. There, on the mountainside, figures clad in green military uniforms were ascending with remarkable speed. Undaunted by the billowing smoke, they advanced resolutely towards the heart of the fiercest flames. In this nation, The sight of those in green uniforms instilled an inexplicable sense of security among the populace. Whether at the train station, in the square, or on the streets, the presence of the soldiers from Yen Nation assures the populace that, even if the sky were to fall, they would remain unscathed. Meanwhile, Lin Hui swiftly mobilizes his team to combat the flames. The temperature in the vicinity escalates, rendering the air scorchingly hot. With each breath, it feels as if a mouthful of high-proof liquor has been poured down his throat, causing a painful rasp in his throat. Lin Hui understands that in such dire circumstances, they must act swiftly. Otherwise, if the fire spreads, the consequences would be unimaginable. He gestures, and his companions nod in agreement as they flank him from the side. The blaze rages fiercely in this area, and Lin Hui intends to divide the flames into two segments to weaken their intensity, sever the source, and ultimately launch a collective assault to extinguish it. At that moment, a sudden gust of wind sweeps through. Lin Hui and his team exchange anxious glances. In the next instant, the fire surges upward, propelled by the wind, reaching several meters high. The dense vegetation in the area, combined with the dry winter conditions, ignites the patch of withered grass ahead. As the flames grow more voracious and spread wider, if left unchecked, they would surely consume the nearby power plant and several factories, inflicting catastrophic losses on the citizens and the nation. Lin Hui cannot afford to hesitate. He bellows, "First team, advance." The first team charges forward, unleashing a torrent of water jets against the flames. Clouds of steam billow into the air, but simultaneously, the fire diminishes slightly. Second team move. Lin Hui commands decisively, and Suda and his comrades rush forward. Fire extinguishers spray relentlessly at the flames, assisting in suppressing the inferno. Cool them down. Lin Hui, blinded by the heat wave, continues to issue orders. The first team quickly divides, directing hoses towards the second team to provide physical cooling. As the water splashes onto their bodies, plumes of white smoke rise. Clad in only basic gear, they can insulate against heat, but cannot truly resist the flames. Everyone feels as though they have been cast into an oven, their bodies searing with heat. Yet, not a single person falters. They grit their teeth and persevere. Suda, while battling the flames, urges his companions forward. The fire is intensifying over there. "I need a few people to come with me." A throng rushes to join him. Fire extinguishers aimed at the most ferocious parts of the blaze. Soon, the flames recede as if pushed back by an unseen hand, revealing signs that they might be extinguished. Lin Hui, his voice hoarse with excitement, shouts, third team, quickly advance. Create a firebreak. Charge." The third team, armed with shovels, roars as they surge forward. Behind the second team, they dig furiously to construct a firebreak. The ground, recently scorched, emanates an alarming heat. As the shovel strikes the earth, waves of heat rise, causing everyone to grimace in pain. Yet, none of them relent. They grit their teeth and endure, having labored tirelessly and suffered greatly. In this moment, it has finally proven its worth. Everyone moved like electric motors, tirelessly swinging their arms, rapidly shoveling dirt. Even when their hands burned red and blisters formed, not a single soul ceased their efforts. Each individual harbored a singular conviction. As long as the fire persists, they would not retreat. Soon, they excavated a long firebreak before them, effectively preventing the flames from advancing. Meanwhile, the second group had already cycled through several fire extinguishers, leaving the ground littered with an array of crimson canisters. United in purpose, they managed to partition the flames in this area, rendering them incapable of converging, thus allowing for a more strategic approach to extinguishment. Lin Hui observed nearby, witnessing many succumb to heat exhaustion and collapse. In a state of urgency, he shouted, "Quickly! Lift them out and carry them to the rear, help them cool down." The third group rushed forward, bearing those who had fainted away. The closer they approached the fire source, the scarcer the oxygen became. In such perilous conditions, the heat and lack of air could claim lives at any moment. Therefore, it was imperative to lower their temperatures swiftly, or they risked fatalities. Lin Hui noticed Suda's face had become completely charred. He quickly patted him on the back, urging, "Old squad leader, we must move." After a couple of attempts, Suda remained unresponsive. His eyes reddened as he continued to spray the extinguisher. Lin Hui understood that he was in a battle trance, deaf to the world around him. Without hesitation, he ordered others to carry Suda away for a mandatory rest. Those in better condition continued their original strategy for extinguishing the flames, relentlessly advancing against the inferno. Time slipped away gradually. After 5 hours, the wildfire in this region had been completely extinguished by Lin Hui and his team. Returning to the foot of the mountain, everyone, including Lin Hui, lay exhausted and disheveled on the ground, their lungs feeling as if they were ablaze and their bones as if they were shattering. Hong Chang descended from the mountain, anxiously inquiring about the situation. "How did it go on your end?" Lin Hui raised his thumb with a broad smile, revealing a gleaming set of white teeth. "All done over there. The fire couldn't reach the power plant. Hong Chang exclaimed with jubilation, "That's wonderful. In critical moments, we rely on you. You all are remarkable." Lin Hui chuckled, "Not so fast. Let us catch our breath, and we shall fight again." Yes, they would fight again. Hong Chang surveyed the group, filled with genuine admiration. It was no wonder they said that the soldiers of Yin country were the most persevering and resilient troops in the world. After enduring such fatigue, others would have long since faltered. Yet, not a single one of them shrank back. They were eager to continue the fight. With such courage and determination, no adversity could ever hope to vanquish them. Just then, someone nearby suddenly shouted, "Oh no, look over there." In the next moment, everyone turned their heads in unison, their expressions turning grave. Lin Hui heard the commotion and swiftly turned his gaze. The others followed suit, their faces instantly paling. There, on the distant mountaintop, towering flames roared and thick smoke billowed. The fire at the summit, propelled by the wind, began to sweep around the side, heading straight for the city. Hong Chang shouted anxiously, "Where are the people above? Why haven't they managed to control the fire? It's only getting bigger." One of his subordinates, filled with concern, replied, "They must be in danger. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening. Can we get in touch?" "No, we can't. Damn it." Hong Chang, frantic with worry, slammed his fist onto the fire truck and cried out in despair, "Gather the personnel and follow me. We must bring them back." Before he could finish his sentence, a shadow darted past him. He was momentarily stunned, unable to comprehend the situation, when more figures quickly surged forward. It was Lin Hui and his team. A group of individuals swiftly shed their excess gear, sprinting up the mountain with remarkable speed. All the firefighters were left in awe. They had never witnessed anyone ascending a mountain with such velocity. Realization dawned upon Hong Chang. Lin Hui and his team were heading to rescue people. But just moments ago, everyone had been utterly exhausted. How could they exhibit such astonishing speed? What extraordinary physical prowess did these individuals possess? More importantly, Lin Hui and his team were fully aware of the perilous conditions at the summit, yet they charged forward without hesitation. This spirit moved Hong Chang deeply. Previously, it had always been them rushing into the flames to save others, but now, they too found themselves in need of rescue. Hong Chang immediately shouted to everyone, "Stop dawdling. Equip yourselves with firefighting gear and advance in groups. We must not only ensure the safety of our comrades in the People's Liberation Army, but also bring our people back safely." Yes. Everyone quickly donned their equipment and rapidly ascended the mountain in groups. The fire raged ever more fiercely, leaving Lin Hui and his team with fewer paths to traverse. They could only seek out areas that had already been scorched or where vegetation was sparse. Otherwise, if the wind shifted, the flames would leap towards them in an instant. At that point, even a celestial being would be unable to save them. Fortunately, everyone was well versed in jungle operations. Even under such dire circumstances, they managed to find their way swiftly up the mountain. The mountain winds howled around them. As they ascended, the fire grew increasingly ferocious. The ground was as scalding as a red-hot iron plate. Even with shoes on, they could not escape the searing heat beneath their feet. Following Lin Hui, they plunged into the billowing smoke and finally approached the vicinity of the summit. "Spread out and search," Lin Hui commanded, and everyone quickly dispersed. The heat waves relentlessly battered their faces, each person feeling a stinging pain on their skin. Thick black smoke obscured their vision, but could not impede their progress. "Have you found anything?" "No, nothing on my end either. Check over there and be thorough." Just then, Lin Hui suddenly turned his head to the right. Ding! Vision level 11. With his enhanced sight, he pierced through the smoke, his vision becoming clear. He immediately spotted several individuals lying behind a large rock, surrounded by flames. They were the trapped firefighters. He shouted urgently, "They are behind the big rock. Quick, save them." Nearby, Su De and Wang Yong, along with a few others, heard the commotion and rushed into the inferno alongside him. As they reached the side of the trapped firefighters, each one felt a searing pain enveloping their skin, as if they had leapt into a furnace. "Let us go." There was no room for hesitation. They wrapped the firefighters in fire blankets and pressed forward with determination. Thankfully, their speed was sufficient. Otherwise, they too would have succumbed to the flames. The group sprinted until they reached an open area, far from the fire's grasp. Already drenched in sweat and exhaustion, Lin Hui shouted urgently, "Medics, hurry." The medics rushed over to provide immediate assistance. Among the 4 present, 3 had already lost their vital signs. The remaining firefighter, after being given half a capful of water, began to regain a flicker of consciousness. He trembled, his lips quivering as he weakly uttered, "Captain, Captain, it's too late, save him first." Lin Hui glanced at the fallen heroes nearby, his words choking in his throat, unable to find solace for the moment. He could only grasp the firefighter's hand tightly. In that instant, the firefighter seemed to comprehend something profound, and his heart began to tremble violently. He yearned to cry, yet the moisture in his body had been evaporated by the flames, leaving him unable to shed a single tear. Lin Hui felt his profound sorrow, and his own heart ached in response. He tightened his grip once more before releasing it. He stepped back a couple of paces and shouted, "Salute!" Everyone present raised their right hands with fervor, paying the utmost respect to the heroes. With reddened eyes, Lin Hui addressed the others, "Let us escort our heroes home." The group carefully lifted the bodies of the 3 fallen heroes. As they made their way, they encountered firefighters arriving for support. Hong Chong rushed over, inquiring anxiously, "What is the situation? Did you find them?" Lin Hui looked at him with sorrow. Words stuck in his throat. Hong Chong scanned the surroundings, sensing the unsettling atmosphere. Grasping Lin Hui's arm, he shouted in agitation, "For God's sake, speak. Did you find them or not?" Lin Hui took a deep breath. "We found them." But he fell silent as the others handed over the 3 firefighters' bodies. Hong Chong and his companions stared at the familiar faces, stunned into silence. Their minds felt as if struck by thunder, reverberating with disbelief. Some covered their mouths, already beginning to weep uncontrollably. They could hardly believe that those with whom they had shared meals and dreams just a day prior had vanished without a trace. These were their comrades, warriors of the armed police, and part of the People's Army, stripped of their firefighter identities. They were merely 18 or 19 years old, young individuals who should have been filled with the promise of youth and a boundless future. Yet now, their lives were forever frozen at this moment, etched into the rugged mountains consumed by the wildfire. Lin Hui and the others gazed silently, their eyes brimming with reverence. Throughout their lives, they had taken pride in their military identity, believing that their duty to protect their homeland was commendable. However, today they realized that those who faced death daily, the true soldiers, were the most remarkable of all. Hong Chong wiped away his tears and, with a choked voice, expressed his gratitude. "Thank you all. You must descend the mountain quickly. We can handle this here." Lin Hui observed their unsteady movements and, taking a deep breath, insisted, "Hand over the equipment to us. We shall ascend to extinguish the flames." "You must go down." "No," came the reply. "The fire above is raging fiercely, and we have already lost lives. It's absolutely out of the question." Lin Hui interrupted him sharply. "What do you mean by out of the question? Is it not merely about extinguishing the fire? We have the manpower and the experience. We are more equipped to handle it." He continued, "All you need to do is ensure the firefighting apparatus reaches us, so we have sufficient supplies." The firefighters stared in shock, their eyes wide. They had not anticipated that Lin Hui intended to ascend once more. Firefighting was their duty, yet here was someone willing to stand in their stead, deeply moving the hearts of those present. Hong Chong shook his head, solemnly stating, "Comrade Lin Hui, I recognize your capabilities, but the winds at the summit are fiercer, and the flames spread more rapidly. The inferno you extinguished earlier pales in comparison." He cast a pained glance at the ground. The 3 who perished were seasoned firefighters. And if they could not escape, what makes you think you can? Would you not merely be offering yourselves as sacrifices? Lin Hui struck him with a fist. "Enough of this nonsense. Those who have the strength shall ascend. I still have energy, while you can barely walk. If you go up, will you extinguish the fire, or will the fire extinguish you? Though we belong to different units, we are all soldiers. My intent is purely to prevent the wildfire from spreading and to safeguard the lives and properties of the citizens. It is not for your sake." Hong Chong found himself at a loss for words. Lin Hui's words rang true. From dawn until now, they had not paused for a moment, tirelessly battling the flames. Their endurance was hanging by a thread, ready to collapse at any moment. In such a precarious state, ascending the mountain meant risking their lives. If the wildfire spread, the surrounding citizens would suffer tremendous losses, and he could not bear the thought of dying without peace of mind. As Hong Chong hesitated, Lin Hui had already begun to strip them of their gear. "Let us go," he commanded, leading everyone up the mountain while donning their equipment, charging once more toward the inferno. Watching Lin Hui and his team charge fearlessly into the sea of flames, Hong Chang's eyes brimmed with tears. He turned to the others and shouted, "Bring our brothers back." The 3 heroes were carried down the mountain, while the surviving firefighters were urgently transported to the hospital for treatment. Hong Chong immediately ordered that all firefighting equipment be sent up the mountain. Just as the command was given, someone rushed over to report, "Captain, reinforcements have arrived." Hong Chong turned to see a convoy of trucks speeding down the distant road. The vehicles halted, and Lu Qingsong, leading a large contingent, marched towards them with great resolve. "The comrades from the People's Liberation Army have come. Salvation is at hand. The blaze will surely be extinguished." The citizens erupted in cheers, filled with excitement. Hong Chang's eyes sparkled with exhilaration. This remote location had received assistance from every available firefighting unit in the surrounding cities. Although they had already sent out distress signals to more distant cities and support teams were on their way, it would still take at least 1 or 2 hours for them to arrive. Now that the troops had arrived, the pressure on them had significantly diminished. Lu Qingsong approached and saluted. "Commander Lu Qingsong of the Southwest Station District, 602, here to assist in extinguishing the fire." "Hong Chong, equally excited, returned the salute. Greetings, Commander. I am Hong Chong, the captain of the fire brigade. Lu Qingsong looked around and inquired, have you seen my men? Did they arrive before me? Hong Chong paused for a moment, then quickly realized he was referring to Lin Hui and the others. He turned and pointed to the mountain top. They have already ascended. Lu Qingsong gazed upward, his pupils constricting sharply. Aside from the raging inferno, there was not a trace of human presence to be seen. He inhaled sharply. Shaken, is this truly a place where the living can endure? Chapter 263. You protect us, we shall protect you. Lu Qingsong lifted his binoculars to survey the mountain. Within his line of sight, apart from the vast flames, there was only a thick, ink-like smoke billowing forth. Not only were the members of the Tiger Battalion absent, but there was not even a ghostly silhouette to be found. The more he failed to see anyone, the more anxious he became. Lin Hui, please do not let anything happen to you. Lu Qingsong urgently shouted to the captain. You are understaffed. Provide us with equipment, and we shall ascend to assist in extinguishing the fire. Hong Chong intercepted him. You cannot go up there. What do you mean? Lu Qingsong's eyes widened in disbelief. I have brought so many men. Are we to stand idly by below? Hong Chong quickly clarified. Commander, you misunderstand. I mean the fire is too fierce. Your presence would be futile. There are not many safe footholds up there. A few hundred personnel are sufficient. If you all go up, you'll merely crowd together, rendering your efforts ineffective. Lu Qingsong, in a state of urgency, exclaimed, I cannot merely stand by and watch my soldiers become encircled by flames. Hong Chong took a deep breath and looked at him. I understand your feelings. Your men have successfully extinguished a significant fire, and they possess the experience, which is why I have allowed them to proceed. You are only observing from a distance and have not felt the true terror of the wildfire up close. Without the necessary experience, it would be easy for you to encounter disaster. The fire at the summit is several times more intense than below, and I cannot bear to watch you sacrifice yourselves in vain. Lu Qingsong's face flickered with the light of the flames, his fists clenched tightly, filled with anger and frustration. He had gathered his entire division with the intent to assist in quelling the fire. Yet now, he was being directly rebuffed by professionals. Everyone was left waiting below, consumed with anxiety. However, he knew that until the last possible moment, until the people's property was truly threatened, he could not risk the lives of his soldiers. Soldiers may perish, but their deaths must hold value and significance. Lin Hui and the others were still battling the flames, clinging to their final hope. Should they falter, the fire would begin to encroach upon the city. Lu Qingsong would undoubtedly charge forward without hesitation, leading everyone to form a bulwark of flesh and blood, vowing to protect the city and its citizens with unwavering resolve. As Hong Chong observed his silence, he suddenly spoke. In truth, you can be of assistance. Lu Qingsong, filled with excitement, inquired, how can we help? What assistance do you require? Hong Chong gestured towards the mountain, stating, there is a scarcity of water, fire extinguishers, and various essential equipment up there. We just dispatched a batch, but it is likely nearly depleted. Our numbers are few, and the pace of our deliveries is woefully slow. You, being more numerous, are perfectly positioned to transport everything up. Very well. Lu Qingsong nodded vigorously. I shall immediately assemble the troops. He promptly commanded the entire division to gather. Hong Chong, without hesitation, rallied the firefighters from below, aligning them alongside the troops. Lu Qingsong took hold of a megaphone and declared solemnly, let us dispense with idle chatter. We are not merely extinguishing flames. We are engaged in a fierce battle. The adversary is even more formidable than we anticipated, yet despite this, we must not falter. Lin Hui, leading the Tiger Brigade, had already surged to the front lines. Now, we must convey to them that they are not alone in this fight. Behind them stands all the brothers of 602, along with countless valiant firefighters. Are you afraid of death? Not afraid. The roar echoed to the heavens, embodying their unwavering resolve. Lu Qingsong nodded in satisfaction. After nurturing our troops for 1,000 days, today is the moment of reckoning. Relay the orders. Everyone shall proceed sequentially from the top down, with the 1st Brigade at the summit and the 2nd below, and so forth. Transport every fire-extinguishing device up the mountain. Onward. Lu Qingsong led the charge up the mountain, with the main force closely following. Beside him, Hong Chong was swept up in fervor, shouting to his subordinates, quickly, unload all the equipment from the vehicles, move swiftly. Observing the multitude of olive-green figures marching resolutely towards the mountain stirred the hearts of the onlookers, their eyes glistening with tears. The firefighters ascended and descended the mountain repeatedly, their soot-covered forms eliciting profound sympathy. Now, with many more brave souls facing the roaring flames and billowing smoke, charging up the mountain with unwavering courage. They could see youthful faces filled with determination, barely 17 or 18 years of age, almost the same age as their own children or younger brothers. However, From the moment they donned their military uniforms, they ceased to be mere civilians, no longer someone's son or brother, but rather soldiers. They bore the weight of burdens far heavier than life itself with their fragile bodies. Even in the face of death, they would not waver. As they surged towards the inferno, a middle-aged man, overcome with emotion, rushed forward, calling out fervently, "Leader, I want to help. I too can assist in delivering supplies." Others soon followed suit, shouting with enthusiasm, "Leader, my long legs allow me to run fast. I can help. I am strong, and though I possess little else, I can carry supplies for you. I have a motorcycle. I can charge up there and deliver more than can be carried by hand. Let me go?" In an instant, the fervent cries of the civilians rose in a chorus. Hong Chang and the firefighters who had just descended from the mountain found their eyes brimming with emotion. A firefighter's voice trembled as he uttered, "Captain, I long to weep." Hong Chang grasped him tightly, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears. "No tears allowed. We are the people's soldiers. We may shed skin and blood, but we shall not shed tears. Indeed, I shall not cry." A profound warmth surged within Hong Chang. It was their duty to protect the common folk, yet unexpectedly, when they were on the brink of collapse, countless hands lifted them up, aiding them to rise once more. In Yin country, soldiers are eternally worthy of the trust and reliance of the people. Likewise, the populace is always the soldier's steadfast support. This is the true essence of the bond between the military and the citizens. Hong Chang stepped forward, gently declining, "Dear villagers, we appreciate your kindness." But, before he could finish, an elderly gentleman interrupted, "Leader, you need not say anything more. You are risking your lives to extinguish the flames and protect our homes. How could we, the locals, stand idly by?" A nearby woman exclaimed, "Exactly. Everyone has a mother who bore them. You protect us, and we must assist you." Someone proposed, "Leader, why not issue orders and direct us? With so many of us rushing in, it would be chaotic. If you guide us, we wish to lend a hand." "Yes, let us." The crowd of citizens shouted in unison. Hong Chang looked up, tears cascading down his cheeks. "For these beloved citizens, even if it means risking my life to safeguard them, it is worth it." He vigorously wiped his tears and turned to face the raging inferno on the mountain. Those who had rushed in were already engulfed by the thick smoke. Without substantial equipment, extinguishing the wildfire was a daunting task. Even preserving their own lives would be exceedingly difficult. It is crucial to understand that during such incidents, most people do not perish from the flames, but rather suffocate from the smoke. Even if the supporting firefighting teams arrived, they could only control the blaze from the base of the mountain, unable to extinguish the flames raging above. In this era, Yin country still lacked advanced firefighting apparatus and relied solely on manpower to combat the flames. Unity among the people can move mountains. Beyond this, there was no better solution. Hong Chang turned to the enthusiastic citizens, an overwhelming sense of gratitude and emotion welling up within him. "Thank you all. Thank you. Fellow villagers, those wishing to assist, please come to me." Chapter 264. The Strength of Soldiers. The faith of the people. Hong Chang ascended to a higher vantage point, surveying the gathered citizens, and spoke loudly. "This operation is exceedingly perilous. If you wish to help, you must adhere strictly to my directions. Can you do this?" "We can," the citizens chorused. "We shall follow your lead. Whatever you say goes." Hong Chang nodded, continuing, "Fighting fires is a labor-intensive endeavor. Thus, only the young and able-bodied should participate. The elderly, and those in frail health should refrain from joining." Many faces fell in disappointment, realizing they may not be of much assistance. Yet, they all expressed understanding. Firefighting is a grave matter. If one were to collapse from exhaustion, it would only create further troubles for everyone. Hong Chang continued, "At present, what we lack most are various supplies. The mountain paths are steep and rugged, making it difficult for large vehicles to access. Many reinforcements have already arrived, but are stuck outside. The personnel on the mountain are sufficient. However, the firefighting supplies are woefully inadequate. Therefore, I require you to ride motorcycles to the blocked fire truck and transport any materials you can carry up the mountain, preferably taking the firefighters with you." A young man inquired, "Will there be a misunderstanding, leading them to believe we are a motorcycle gang?" Hong Chang chuckled and shook his head, assuring him, "Rest assured. You need only go. I will contact them to ensure they hand over everything to you." Finally, he took a deep breath and saluted everyone, declaring, "The success of extinguishing the forest fire relies entirely upon you all. Let us commence our mission." In an instant, many townsfolk began to descend the slope, rushing towards the motorcycles parked nearby. Given the narrowness of the mountain roads, vehicles find it exceedingly difficult to navigate. Thus, motorcycles are the most convenient, agile, and rapid means of transportation. To maximize their carrying capacity, nearly every household has affixed 1 or 2 metal frames to the rear of their motorcycles, making them the optimal choice for errands, market days, and deliveries. A group of young individuals sped down the slope, not even stopping to retrieve their flip-flops. swiftly inserting keys to start their motorcycles. Let us go, quickly, follow me. The roar of the motorcycle brigade reverberated as they navigated the steep mountain paths with haste. At this moment, the roads were completely congested. Due to the narrowness of the pathways, supply trucks and large fire engines could not enter and remained stranded outside. A young man, adorned with a heart tattoo on his arm, rode in from a distance, abruptly stopping next to a fire truck and banging on the door. Brothers, we are here to help transport supplies. Please hand them over quickly. The firefighters inside were bewildered, utterly confused by the situation. When they saw a swarm of motorcycles approaching, they were startled, fearing they were being robbed by a gang. At that moment, the intercom in the vehicle crackled to life. Attention, this is Hong Chong, the local fire brigade captain. These are civilians who have come to assist. Any materials capable of extinguishing the fire should be handed over to them for transport up the mountain. Dispatch one firefighter from each vehicle to accompany them, providing as much support as possible. Upon receiving the directive, the crowd suddenly understood the gravity of the situation. Recognizing the urgency akin to saving lives, they wasted no time. Jumping from their vehicles to unload supplies. Come, this way, hand over the materials. Large barrels filled with foam and water, along with various firefighting equipment and extinguishers, were hastily packed into the metal frames of the motorcycles. For those without frames, woven bags and ropes were used to secure the items, preventing any from falling during transit. Soon, the motorcycles were laden with substantial supplies, some so heavy that the front ends lifted off the ground. The crowd quickly stood up, using their collective strength alongside the firefighters to push forward and maintain the motorcycle's balance. A young man with dyed blonde hair was the first to secure the supplies, quickly attaching himself to a firefighter before racing back. Meanwhile, Hong Chong continued to coordinate tasks on site, watching in astonishment as a motorcycle, shrouded in dust, sped towards him. Have the supplies arrived so swiftly? Hong Chong exclaimed with fervor. Make way, make way. The crowd promptly dispersed, and several exhausted firefighters swiftly shed their gear, rushing forward to guide the vehicles. This way, ascend the mountain here. One by one, the motorcycles, spurred on by the firefighters' directions, revved their engines and charged toward the unpaved heights. The tires crushed the stones and grass beneath them, jostling as they ascended the mountain. Everyone leaned forward, anchoring their weight on the handlebars, striving to maintain equilibrium. Hong Chong gazed into the distance, watching the motorcycles fearlessly charge into the inferno, and his eyes brimmed with tears. The people possess faith, the soldiers wield strength. How can the nation not flourish? He shouted passionately. Charge forward, onward. The crowd echoed his fervor, chanting encouragement. Go, go. The motorcycle brigade, amidst their cheers, surged forward with renewed vigor, roaring toward the mountain summit. Meanwhile, Lu Qingsong and his troops were valiantly delivering supplies despite the ferocious flames and billowing smoke. Undeterred, they plunged into the thick haze, racing upward with the provisions in tow. At the mountaintop, the searing flames writhed, consuming the surrounding trees and foliage. The trees had transformed into colossal torches, casting the world in a fiery hue. Lin Hui and his comrades stood dwarfed before the blaze, even from a distance of 20 to 30 meters. They felt as if they were being scorched alive. Their skin bore varying degrees of burns, and the soles of their shoes hissed with smoke. Even clad in heat-resistant gear, they felt as though they were engulfed in flames. Yet, undeterred, they tirelessly wielded their shovels. They aimed to carve a firebreak, the only means to prevent the wildfire from spreading to the city below. Lin Hui led the charge, brandishing a fire extinguisher at the forefront. Su De, Wang Yong, and Chun Eru flanked him, continuously spraying the surroundings. Despite the searing heat that felt as if it was boiling their very marrow, none retreated. Each person gritted their teeth, grimacing as they advanced toward the source of the fire. With a sputter, Lin Hui's fire extinguisher coughed and ceased to spray. He hurled it back, turning to shout, "Quick, bring me another extinguisher." The response came in frantic shouts. "There are none left. They have all been used." Lin Hui surveyed the growing flames with eyes ablaze with fury. Damn it. Relying on these rudimentary extinguishing devices is futile against nature's might. Yet knowing the odds, we must press on. This is the duty and responsibility of a soldier. With a fierce roar, Lin Hui commanded, "Organize a death squad. Grab shovels and follow me. Toss the soil into the flames." "I will. So will I. Count me in." Zhang Jiantao and a group rushed forward, joining Lin Hui as they scooped up the freshly dug earth and sprinted back. They disregarded the oppressive heat, desperately approaching the fire, hurling the soil into its voracious maw. In this moment, they forget that they too have families, that they are but ordinary lives. Now, a singular thought consumes their minds. Stop the flames. They cannot allow those heroes to sacrifice themselves in vain. They must not let the home they have valiantly defended be consumed by the inferno. For this cause, they are willing to give everything, even their lives. Coughing, 4 or 5 individuals succumb to the choking smoke, collapsing to the ground. Lin Hui rushes forward, grabbing them and forcefully throwing them back. Save them. Hurry, save them. Soon, the number of fallen increases. From an initial group of 40 or 50, only around a dozen remain standing, barely holding on. Suda, witnessing his familiar comrades collapse, cries out with reddened eyes. Our strength is insufficient. We must rotate the personnel. Lin Hui turns back, his heart aching as if it were bleeding, but he understands that retreat is not an option. After painstakingly reducing the flames, to retreat now would render their efforts futile. He slams his fist into the ground, roaring with fury. Carry the fallen away, and send in another group. Those who are still standing must not stop. Yes. Suddenly, Lin Hui's ears perk up, as if he hears a buzzing roar. He whirls around to see the smoke parting to reveal a massive opening. Motorcycles surge forth like arrows from within. Young men, their bodies blackened by smoke. Each possess a fiery determination in their eyes. Just as Lin Hui stands in shock, a young man halts his motorcycle before him. The load on the back is so heavy that it nearly topples the vehicle. He and the firefighters behind him must use their bodies to stabilize it, preventing it from tipping over. Lin Hui's throat constricts, his mind momentarily short-circuiting. The young man flashes a broad smile, displaying a set of bright white teeth. Comrades of the People's Liberation Army, we are here to help you. Following closely, more motorcycles rush up. Brothers of the PLA, do not fear, we have brought supplies. As Lin Hui gazes at the array of fire extinguishers and abundant resources in the back, tears well up in his eyes. He wipes his face with his scorching sleeve, overwhelmed with emotion. He never imagined that, in such a dire moment, ordinary citizens would risk their lives to come to their aid. Looking at the soot-stained faces around him, Lin Hui clenches his fists tightly. This is the true strength of the fiery nation. Taking a deep breath, he bellows with all his might to the others. All of you, come with me to gather supplies. Charge forward with me.